Today, we're going to be discussing one breakout player that we believe can have great effect on the Denver Broncos this year. Also, we're going to be going through weeks 1 through 8 and going with a score prediction, seeing if we can write those down and seeing how close we can get on predicting the score based on opponent, coaching, offense, and defensive side. And third, with the trade of Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does that mean that there's a tight end on the market that we can pick up as tight end two? I think you know his name well. We're going to talk about him and how he can fit into the Sean Payton offense and help us win the division. Guys, welcome to another episode.
Tune in, now it's time to sit. Orange and blue, we never quit. Broncos pride is lit legit. Every week we're bringing grit. Orange and blue, we bring the heat. Podcast grinding can't be beat. Every play, every style we meet. Blitz so hard it's on repeat. My high dreams we elevate. Break it down, we narrate. From the field to the fan debate. Broncos Country, we dominate. We got the passion, we got the drive. Orange and blue keeps us alive. Every tackle, every stride. It's the Blitz where legends thrive.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Orange and Blue Blitz. I'm your host, Isaiah Henderson, also known as Bronco Gentleman, as the screen says, one of the co-founders of Orange and Blue Network with my best friend in the whole world, Johnny Baki, or as you know him, the Mile High Viking, the host of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue show. Guys, I hope you guys had a good weekend. I did. I guess my week is not over yet. I have Mondays off as well. So, but went to church yesterday. Was good day at church. And then today I got up and mowed the lawn because you can literally watch the grass grow out here in Tennessee because it rains and then it's hot and the grass grows. You have to cut it once a week, sometimes twice a week. It grows that fast. So. Just got done doing that, trimming the hedges too. Got some more work to do later, probably when it cools down because now it's in the heat of the day. But I'm inside in the AC here talking to you guys. And as you guys heard in the intro, we're going to talk about one player who I think is going to be a breakout year and going to achieve their goal that they stated. And I really believe that they can do that. We're going to talk about who that player is. We're going to go through the weeks 1 through 8, and we're going to go through a schedule prediction. So I want to hear you guys' schedule prediction. I'm going to give mine. We're going to talk about the dynamics of both teams. And then we're going to see the schedule predictions. And then we're going to talk about Darnell Washington, gigantic tight end from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just fell down the depth chart even more. So we're going to talk about that. But we got the comments. What's up? We got Jay in the house, the Denver Dream, the host of Buck Your Feelings post-game show and the co-host of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue show. What's up, Jay? Hope you had a good weekend, brother. Ooh, we got a Chargers fan in the house. Chargers, bolts. Hey, if we get done on Washington, it's over for you boys. I just want to let you know that. Right now, we're on even kill. But we get that other tight end, boy, it's game over. Jack, resident Raiders fan, what's up? Mile High salute. I was thinking about today, I think the Raiders are going to get 8 wins. Peyton Manning is on Pat McAfee. Yeah, he's probably talking up the Broncos, speaking to a former Colts. Jay says the end of Tomlin will be at the end of this vet push. Yes, I think this could be the end for Tomlin. He knows that. He's going to bow gracefully, so I think they're going all in. I think getting rid of Minka Fitzpatrick was my guess is they trust who their second free safety is, and that by beefing up the cornerbacks, you're taking pressure off of the safety. But as we learned with most defenses, and what Sean Payton said is actually the safety has a better view of the field, and the communication between the safety and the cornerbacks is paramount and important. So I'm curious how that's going to work. They also have their pass rush as well. So they're hoping that pass rush, their linebackers and their DBs take pressure off the safety in addition to getting their tight end. It's going to be interesting to see. I knew what they were going to try and do. They're definitely going to do a run play action. And as we're seeing across the NFL, that type of offense is actually coming out and more into the NFL. You see Sean Payton especially with that run the ball to throw play action, success of play action. You see teams like the Atlanta Falcons do it. The Steelers are now going to do it more with Aaron Rodgers. Ben Johnson did it with Detroit. He's going to do it with Caleb Williams. That type of offense is it can be more efficient. It's more timing and more rhythm. So they're going to try and run the ball with Caleb Johnson. They do their two tight end sets with Jonnu Smith and Pat Freiermuth. But also you have DK Metcalf and a tight end. So they're not really looking for that wide receiver 2. They're looking for that inside play action game. So I see what they're doing. And yeah, with Aaron Rodgers, this is Aaron Rodgers' last go. This might be Mike Tomlin's last go. But we don't play the Steelers this year. So since we're going for the division, I'm not rooting for, but it's better for the Broncos if the Steelers beat the Ravens for the division than it is for the Raiders to win the division for playoff purposes. So if the Steelers get better, it makes it harder for the Ravens to win. So if you get where I'm going with that. Jack says, I see the Broncos win the AFC West. Sucks as a Raiders fan. Yeah, it does suck as a Raiders fan, but it's awesome as a Broncos fan. Let's go. We appreciate it. We agree with you. Piano Man. West Side D-Rock in the house. What's up? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Chargers fan says he's happy the Raiders didn't take Ramsey. Hero said he's happy the Raiders didn't take Ramsey. I would have taken a couple steps back, and Steelers looking hot. Congrats to them. Steelers have a weak line from last year. No biggie. Yes, that is true. That's one thing I saw from the Steelers fans is they were saying, hey, that's cool and all, but our offensive line isn't that much improved. So that's going to be interesting to see, especially when that's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, the Raiders definitely need a secondary, but they would have had to trade something away. But we are here to talk about one thing right now, and that is the breakout player. But guys, before we do, I need you guys to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video. Subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and anywhere you listen to your favorites on the Orange and Blue Network. Smash that like button. Come on, guys, smash that like button. And then also go over to our partners at MHRT. And for you Raiders fans and Chargers fans, you guys also know about Wild Wild West. That is over there with the MHRT network. I did not help create the show, but I gave them the name for the show, Wild Wild West. So guys, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, follow them on Twitter, on Facebook, and Twitch as well. They are our partners, and we love them, and they love us. So anytime we shout out ourselves, we shout out them as well. And if you guys have the shout out as well, hey, plug it in the comment section. Hey, we're a fan-led podcast. So you're going to want to hit that notification bell because we have so many shows as Monday through Friday, Wednesday, Friday for the off season, for this little 6-week vacation time. There's the Orange and Blue Blitz. And then today, this evening at 7 p.m. is Broncos Bros. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. Then we have the flagship podcast, Broncos Talk on Wednesday, and then Vivos Los Broncos on Friday at 6 p.m. And you're going to want to hit the notification bell because we're going to have a show on Thursday. We don't know when we're going to announce it, but you're going to want to hit that notification bell because I think you guys are really going to like it, and it's just going to help us grow. And we are here for you guys. So don't forget to do that. So who is this breakout player? Now, some say he may have already broken out. I wouldn't say he broke out. I'd say he got loose of his shackles and and he saw how the guards move, but he hasn't yet broken out. And I think this year is the year of his great escape. And to me, that's gonna be Marvin Mims. That's gonna be Marvin Mims. Shout out to David. Had to like on the way in every single time. Mile high salute to you, brother. Love you, David. Jack Kenneth says hit that like button. Love y'all. Marvin Mims. And the projection over 17, I think the projection over 17 games with his last this last stretch, I think it was like 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, he was unstoppable. That was behind the line of scrimmage, deep balls. So I think there's going to be more underneath stuff for him, maybe a little bit of intermediate stuff. And I think one of his goals was to be a 1,000-yard receiver. And he said, because he is a 2-time Pro Bowler, and we forget that. A lot of times that goes under the radar. I said Marvin Mims is a 2-time Pro Bowler as a special teamer returner. And if he gets another Pro Bowl this year, another All-Pro nod this year for special teams, he's on track for a Hall of Fame career as a special teamer. A lot of times that goes under the radar. Excellent pick by George Payton. Excellent usage of him by Sean Payton. So you're starting to see that relationship. That was an excellent pick by George Payton. Excellent usage by Sean Payton. But he said he wanted to be a 1,000-yard receiver. That's his goal, is to be a Pro Bowl receiver. And so I think this year, with the ending of last year, and with the ending of last year of that stretch and that usage of him, with the addition of that, and with the addition of Evan Ingram, now, because a lot of times we forget how much having a mismatched tight end like that changes the dynamic of the offense, in addition to the run game. So if you're running the ball well, you have to take out a defensive back and you have to add in a defensive lineman. And that means that your tight end potentially is going to be covered by a linebacker. Because remember, you took that defensive back out, putting a linebacker to stop the run. But when he's in there, he's going to have to cover the tight end. So that takes away a linebacker from the middle of the field covering Evan Ingram. Now the underneath opens up. So that's where you have Troy Franklin, you have Marvin Mims coming in. And I think yards after the catch is big for him, getting him out in open space. So in addition to screens, in addition to the deep ball, I think we'll see a lot more throws down the sideline for Marvin Mims. But I think we're going to see a little bit more. And I think just because of how he is after the catch, he can get up there. I think he only had, 43 receptions, 6 touchdowns, and 500 yards. That's really, really, really good. D-Rock says Zach Allen, Coop, Casa Bonito, Franklin, and Mims. Those are all your breakout players. I'm afraid to think of what if next year is Zach Allen's breakout year. That scares me because he was so good last year, and he got the second team All-Pro nod. Remember, we had 5 All-Pros on defense or something like that, 4 or something like that. But if next year's Zach Allen breakout year, then that's man, that's scary hours with the addition of a middle linebacker, so that way you can open up the defensive playbook some more. Scary hours. Coop is a lot better than I thought he was. He's a lot more technical than I thought he was, and he's really good in setting the edge. 10.5 sacks is really good. If he averaged 10.5 sacks for his contract, I'll be okay with that. If he went 12 sacks this year, 9 sacks a year after, 11 sacks, 13 sacks. But if he constantly progressed, which seems to be who he is, and he can go for 12 sacks this year, I'm impressed. Nick Bonito, I've thought about more lately, and I'm thinking he might, when I go back and watch his film, he might really he could go for 17 sacks because he didn't start last season. Baron Browning did. He can really go for 17 sacks and really be in DPOY conversation. really be in DPOY conversation. Yeah. Yeah, I think he really that's an excellent defensive breakout choice. Even though he's up for contract, everybody knows it. He hasn't peaked. And no one's talking about that. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay," but he didn't even start. So it's gonna be very interesting. Troy Franklin, I'd say I think Troy Franklin's gonna be a breakout player for the Broncos, not for the NFL. For the Broncos. Because I think he's going to make a big jump and he's going to improve greatly. But because of the depth chart now, I if he turns out to be absolute monster and you just have to get him the ball, he's always open. Then absolutely, if that's what you're saying, as in that type of breakout player, and he just snatches wide receiver one where he's just always open, and now there's like no matter what you do, that connection between him and Bo pops up in John Payton's offense. Yes, I don't see that happening. I would love it if it did. But yeah, Marvin Mims was the one I said. Let's see what we got in the comments. Jack says, that is cool. I love the Wild Wild West show name. Oh, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. David Youngkin says, I can see JK as a breakout player. Yes, I have thought about this. Excellent choice, David. I've thought about this. Hey, you guys are doing great in the comments, bro. Keep it up. That's what I'm saying. You guys drive the show. It's wonderful. We can do this. We can go, baby. We can go. Yes, J.K. Dobbins, and actually I thought of one as a breakout player. The reasoning being is because there's a potential that this is his first full healthy season all the way through, especially with Bo Lowry. And I understand why this offseason Sean Payton he really put a lot on Bo Lowry this offseason. And he really said, hey, we have complete and total faith in you here. And I understand why. Because as Sean says, and I think this is a great definition of confidence, it's demonstrated ability, or where the origin of confidence is demonstrated ability. And with Bo Lowry and Sean Payton's offseason program, we have 2 years of demonstrated ability to keep the team one of the top healthiest teams in the year. 1 year is a fluke. 2 years is a pattern. And so now you're developing a pattern. 3 is a reputation. And so now we're coming up on reputation, where Sean is staking this team's production on Bo Lowry's reputation. And so a couple of things is J.K. Dobbins, Dre Greenlaw did not do Sean Payton's offseason program. Now, I think that J.K., all these guys that were injured that didn't do Sean Payton's offseason program, I think they may be doing it in this in-between time. Because it was about, a month? How long was the offseason? It was about a month, right? Maybe 6 weeks. So about this time, you can go in and do that. Hey, I'm going to do the lifting and running in this time to make up for that offseason program. Because I think in conjunction with Bo Lowry's program, the diet, nutrition, all of that, I think Sean Payton's endurance program of just building up strength, and that builds endurance, helps take away injuries. And as you can juxtapose that to 2022 with Nathaniel Hackett, we had unbelievable ACL injuries. Unbelievable, just everywhere, just hurt injuries. Garrett Bowles broke his leg. But and then we also didn't play preseason. So Sean Payton runs a tougher training camp. So he runs a tough the first month after the draft, it's you don't touch the football. Lifting weights and conditioning, strength and conditioning. Then you go into a tough training camp, where training camp is even hard, where it's all that in addition to strength and conditioning. And then all the starters play the preseason. And so you've got some guys who missed the offseason, and then you've got some guys who missed the strength and endurance, but they can make that up. But then they're also going to get that tough training camp, and then they're also going to get the preseason, which Alex Ingleson said he may or may not play, but he's used to Sean Payton's strength and endurance. So With that being said, J.K. Dobbins comes in, can make up for that strength and conditioning, learn that new style, come into a hard training camp because he is healthy. He did finish the season healthy. And I think with Bo Lowry's reputation and Sean Payton, I think he has the potential to really be a breakout, as in, hey, it took him 4 or 5 years, but he's one of those guys because he was almost comeback player. He almost won comeback player of the year last year. So he can be one of those guys where the Dobbins, he could be such a breakout player where the Dobbins Harvey 2-star running back is the long term. And I think that would categorize him as a breakout player. Is definitely getting that second contract. Hero says, Jack, stop being a teacher's pet, bud. This is a Broncos pod. Remember, you have to be mean. Hey, Jack just being truthful. Hey, we know we're gonna win the West. Jack knows we're gonna win the West. You're in the minority here, Hero. Let's see. Biggie Bronco in the house says, "What's up, everyone? Mile high salute." I have a question. Do you think the Texans have a better secondary than the Broncos? No. PS2 is better than Derek Stingley. I think our safeties are better than the Texan safeties. I think Brandon Jones is probably the most underrated player on this team. Last year he played mostly strong safety, and I think he was a second team All-Pro, and he's a free safety. And so now with Talanoa Hufanga, he's going to get to play free safety, and they're projecting to be they're projecting him to be the best free safety in the NFL. PFF is projecting them to possibly be the best free safety in the NFL. With Minkah Fitzpatrick changing defenses and going to the Dolphins, who's hurting on depth in the cornerback room, I think he has the possibility to do that. So I think our safeties are better, and I think with the addition of Jahdae Barron puts us in rare territory. I think the only team that probably has a better secondary than us is the Ravens. And that was close. But I think the Texans are third. I think the Texans are right behind us. Jack says, I think Denver has the best secondary in the league. The only team that can compete is the Eagles due to the D line. I think we have a better secondary than the Eagles. Our secondary has more veteran leadership. They're young, but veterans. Most of the Eagles' secondary are just now starters because they lost Darius Slay. They lost a couple, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost a couple guys on their D line, so they have one. So it's going to be a question about their D line. Yep. So breakout player Marvin Mims. I think Marvin Mims has potential to be 8 touchdowns. I think he can put up, because I think this year Courtland Sutton has the potential to put up 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. I think with the addition of Evan Ingram, Courtland Sutton's going to get a lot more one-on-ones. And I think Sean Payton's diversified offense has unlocked a different portion of Courtland Sutton's game that we haven't seen since Rich Scangarello was here. No. 2019, Rich Scangarello was the offensive coordinator here. And so now you're getting a diversified offense again with a diversified route tree. As we saw, he can catch the back shoulder, but he was excellent in over routes and dig routes, which we hadn't seen in a while. But now you're going to add what he did last year in addition to other offensive weapons, the run game, the tight end, who can leave him a lot more one-on-ones. So you get his mature mind, his mature body, his mature understanding with a mature offense and other offensive weapons. I think he has the potential to put up 1,400 yards. So I would see Marvin Mims putting up what Courtland Sutton put up last year, just under 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. I could see So I can definitely see Marvin Mims going 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's what I think him being a breakout player would be. He'd be 1,000 yards over 8 touchdowns. I don't think he will maintain that. But I think that can be his peak. And I think he can hover around any year, anywhere between 600 to 750 yards, 5 to 8 touchdowns. I think that's where he can hover around. That's what he can average in the Sean Payton system. Hero says, thanks for the insight, big dog. You know your stuff. Appreciate it. He says, Ravens going to be bees, but LL, but yeah, those fools got it better than us, unfortunately. Yeah, the Ravens really did. The Ravens had a really good offseason. And I think the reason why they didn't is because they didn't give as much talk about how good their offseason was, is because they don't finish in the playoffs. So they got DeAndre Hopkins, which is actually a really good signing because he's sure-headed. And in addition, you have Zay Flowers, who's a Pro Bowler last year. You have Isaiah Likely, who's stepping up to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. You still got veteran Mark Andrews there, who's familiar with the system. And you still have Derrick Henry. So their offense is excellent. Their offense is really good. Their defense took a step back last year, but then finished it out toward the end. But then you add who they get in the offseason. They already had a good linebacking core. The only thing about the Baltimore Ravens is their pass rush. So they did get Mike Green in the draft to help bolster their pass rush. So their linebacking core, their pass rush is nominally better, not good enough to compete in the AFC North, I don't believe. Or the AFC, because I think the AFC has better pass rushers than the NFC off the top of my head. That could be a show for another day. But their secondaries improved. Nate Wiggins is coming up on year 2. He's a really good, really good young defensive back. I don't think gets enough credit. I think he got injured, so that may have hurt him. So then they have an excellent safety core in Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks, a really good safety core. I think the Broncos have a better safety core. I'd call it even. No, I'd give them the edge because Kyle Hamilton is better than Hufanga and Brandon Jones. But Malachi Starks is also a rookie, and Brandon Jones is second-team All-Pro last year, and Talon Hufanga has been a first-team All-Pro just 2 years ago. So they have a really good – and then they have Marlon Humphreys as their nickel, and then you add Jair Alexander. So – and they love to play that man-up defense, and I think they've got it. The question is, do they have the pass rush for it? That's the only question with the Ravens is, do they have the pass rush for it? All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break, and then we are going to come back, and we are going to do a score prediction for weeks 1 through 8. And then we're going to talk about Darnell Washington and what that would mean for the Broncos. So, guys, make sure you guys smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and we will be right back. All right, guys, we are back. Need you guys to smash that like button. Come on, guys. Smash it. Smash it. All right, weeks 1 through 8. So, week 1. Where is my handy dandy pen? All right, week 1. I think Wednesday, guys, we're going to do week 1 through 8 Bo Nix stat prediction. So make sure you guys are here Wednesday afternoon because we're going to do the Bo Nix stat prediction. So I've got all these post-it notes for predictions that we are making, and we are going to see if they come true. If we know ball here at the Orange and Blue Network, specifically Orange and Blue Blitz. So I'm staking my reputation on the line like Bo Lowry, because Hero said I know ball. So let's go. Week 1. All right. Now, we know that they got Cam Ward, rookie quarterback. Tennessee Titans have not been good. I think they maybe 6 wins at the most. I don't think it starts well for them. I don't know if they added much on defense. I think they improved their offensive line a little bit. I got a couple of receivers. I got Tony Pollard. The offense would be okay. So I think this is going to be an easy game. Let me not say an easy game. This is a good game for the Broncos week 1. Let me say that. You played the team that had the number 1 overall pick. You're predicted by everyone nationally. It's almost a unanimous consensus that the Broncos are going to have the number 1 defense. And this is a game to showcase that. You've got J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, an excellent 2-back system, a really, really good 2-back system. I just think, and you have Evan Ingram, I just think we're going to be too much for the Titans. So I'm going to go 35-13. I'm going to go 35-13. All right, week 2. So we got the Colts. And this is going to be in Indianapolis. And as you guys know, Johnny and I will be at that game, Lord willing. So I think the Colts are going to want revenge. I think they're better with Daniel Jones. I think they're better with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Their run game is still good. Their offensive line is still decent. They have a good defense. They have a pretty good defense. And they upgrade on the defensive side as well. I think the Colts will give the Texans a run for their money. I think there's a possibility the Colts will get in the wild card this year, and they could be fighting the Bengals or the Jets for it. I think if I'm correct, I think the Jets will be second in the NFC East. So I think the Colts will be fighting for a wild card spot against the Bengals and the Jets. But I think we win this game 28-21. All right, week 3. I know we got some Chargers boys in the house, but I'm sorry, guys. As I've said numerous times before, I do not believe Sean Payton and Bo Nix are in the business of starting losing streaks. And we already have an 0-2 losing streak to the Chargers. And if we're going to win the West, this is where it starts. Now, the Chargers' attitude is going to be completely dependent on how you guys do against the Chiefs week 1. Because the Chargers are in the same boat as the Broncos, and they believe they can win the West. They have the team to do so. That is true. So do the Broncos. So that week 1 game is going to be very important it's going to set a tone for the AFC West. And I'm glad that it's the Chargers and the Chiefs, and we get to watch and that week 1 game and see them set the tone for the AFC West. Is it going to be, hey, Chiefs still got it and it's going to be tough to knock them out? Or is it, hey, Right now, the Chargers look like they're coming in, and the Chiefs are weak. And then this Week 3 game is going to be with the potential Chargers saying, "Hey, we got it," and the Broncos saying, "Hey, we said we had it too." I don't think we're going to lose to the Chargers Week 3. The reason being is because we know the Chargers defense, but the Chargers don't know the Broncos offense. Now, by Week 3, you'll have some type of film. That is true. You have some type of film. But I think Sean Payton's offense and play calling and the improvement of the Broncos is better than the sustainment of the Chargers defense. I'm going to go 23-20 Broncos. 23-20 Broncos. Sorry, guys. Eagles. Now, I've predicted this as a loss because remember, I predicted this we go 13-4. I predicted we go 13-4. But one of them was a loss to the Eagles. No, I'm sorry. I skipped the Bengals. My bad, y'all. Another revenge game for the Broncos. I do not think we lose to the Bengals. I don't think we lose to the Bengals again this year. Bo Nix went toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow in his rookie season in Cincinnati and almost won the game. If Sean Payton had let Bo Nix go for 2, we possibly would have – Bo Nix would have went in Cincinnati and beat and crushed their playoff dreams in Cincinnati as a last-minute drive on a last over touchdown 2-point conversion. But instead, we took an overtime and we lost. Cincinnati has the exact same team this year as they did last year. Their offensive line is still bad. They just brought back the same wide receivers and the same tight end. They lost Jermaine Pratt on defense. Trey Hendrickson is in the contract battle, and so is their rookie edge rusher. And the Broncos improved on defense. We drafted Jahdae Barron specifically for games like Cincinnati. We got Dre Greenlaw specifically for games like Cincinnati to cover the tight end in the middle of the field. So we added pieces specifically. And for the Chargers, that what I meant to say earlier is we got guys like Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, specifically for the Chargers for the run game and also playing the pass. We got guys like Jahdae Barron for the Chargers in mind to cover the slot against Ladd McConkey, so you guys can't hide from PS2 in the slot anymore. So in weeks 3 and 4, the Broncos actually upgraded their offense for these two teams specifically. I believe for these two teams specifically. Now, in the front of their mind were the Chargers and the Bengals. In the middle of their mind were the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens. There's no one in the back. Everyone's in the front. But it's specifically the Bengals with their 2 receivers and the Chargers with their run game and their offense. But I don't think we lose to the Bengals. I think this is the first 5 weeks of the Bengals, which is the first month where they're the Bengals for whatever reason, and they start off this way. They may not this year, but I think we overwhelm the Bengals as revenge for last year. And I think we beat up on the Bengals a little bit. And I'm gonna go 31-20. 31-20. Now, I don't like how many points teams are putting up against our defense the first month. But I understand there's some continuity. There's some changing with the communication with Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw coming in, Alex Singleton coming back from injury, Jahdae Barron coming in. So there's some change on the secondary and the interior on the second level. So maybe the first month we're so far, we are 4-0, but we're not the number 1 defense. Granted, the schedule's tough. And I think this next stretch is where we put up points. I think the reason why I have the Colts putting up 20 points is because Jonathan Taylor was really good last year. I think he's going to be really good this year. And like I said, I think Daniel Jones definitely makes the Colts. I don't see Anthony Richardson being on the Colts much longer. I think Daniel Jones is going to do really well in this system because he can run too. And I think and he's been to the playoffs, so I think Shane Steichen's going to do reasonably well with Daniel Jones. And their offense is going to be – the Colts are a sleeper. I think they're a sleeper wild card because teams aren't going to take them seriously. They're going to come in and punch you in the mouth. I seriously believe that. But week 5, Eagles' first loss of the season. They have a pretty continuous defense, offense as well. They changed their guard. So I wonder if he's going to be able to, because they lost Mekhi Becton. So I'm wondering if he's going to step in and just fill in wonderfully like Cam Jurgens did to Jason Kelsey. They seem to produce an offensive line. They're predicted to have number 1, number 2 with the Broncos offensive line. So the Philadelphia Eagles is the only team that we play that could potentially have the better offensive line than us. Although the Chargers, I keep going back to the Chargers because the AFC West, we got some Chargers in the comments, and the Chargers is the biggest competition to us win the AFC West, I believe. With Mekhi Becton and their tackle solidified, their only thing is their center and their other guard, their left guard, which is scary for Zach Allen in our defensive line. So I think we have the edge on that. But I think we have the better defensive line. But this is going to be a good game. But I think we lose this game. I think we lose 31-24. One possession game. I believe they win by a touchdown. But that's a good gut check for us. Good humbling experience. Because then we're getting ready to go on the road. Because now we're hungry. And so here, week 6, we are playing Sean Payton's, a guy from Sean Payton's tree. Dan Campbell's from Sean Payton's tree. Aaron Glenn is from Sean Payton's tree. Ben Johnson would be from the Dan Campbell tree, who's a branch from the Sean Payton tree. So I think the Jets are also a sleeper team. I think the Dolphins are reeling. They just lost a good tight end. They lost their DB in exchange for a good safety. So Tua is injury prone. Mike McDaniel's on the hot seat. The Bills are the best team in the AFC East. Drake May and the Patriots are coming up. I think they're going to have a number of middle of the road defense. I think they're bringing back the Patriot way with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. I think that is a really, really, really good coaching tandem for the New England Patriots. I think it's specific for the New England Patriots. They wanted to do that with Gerard Mayo. Maybe they didn't give him a fair shake. Maybe they did. But I think the Jets has a pretty good defense coming back. I think putting confidence in Justin Fields like they did is the Jets don't have a bad roster at all. They have a pretty good defense. I think paying Justin Fields and saying you're the starter is really one of the first times he's had that in a while. I think Aaron Glenn coming from that Sean Payton tree is a culture changer. And that's what you saw in this offseason were culture guys. And you saw them picking from the teams who changed their culture. Ironically, the Sean Payton tree. So you saw the staff in the front office of the Broncos get poached because Sean Payton and George Payton changed the culture. And some went to the Raiders, some went to the Jets. And then you saw guys from the Lions, from Dan Campbell, get poached because that's the culture. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, went to the Jets. Once again, the Jets poaching guys from the culture. The GM is from the Broncos. The head coach is from the Sean Payton tree. You saw the Bears also did a culture change, grab a guy who's from the Dan Campbell tree, the Sean Payton tree as well, a culture change. So I think the Jets are going to be a lot better than people give them credit for. I think Justin Fields has a connection with his old receiver. They have a pretty good running backfield. They still have Alan Lazard, so they have a pretty decent wide receiver room. But I don't think they're going to beat the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to put a pretty good beat down on them. So I'm going to go 35-17. So week 7, people are worried about this game because it's a trap game. I think that the New York Giants are going to have a top 10 defense in the NFL. I think that front four is going to be something serious. Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton. Russell Wilson doesn't throw over the middle of the field. They're in the NFC East. They might be in contention with the Raiders, the best fourth place team in the NFL. Once again, we're predicting that the best offense of line in the NFL by some, only behind the Eagles. If not one, then two. Everybody's coming back. We know Russell Wilson. I think our defense is going to carry this game for us. Maybe our offense lags a little bit, but I think our defense is going to crush them. So I'm going to go. That's another win. I'm going to go 38-17. 38-17. Now, as you guys can see, after we lost to the Eagles, you can see our opponents are only averaging 17 points per game. And our offense is putting up 35, 28, 23, 31, 24, 35, 38. Our offense is putting up numbers. At this point in time, our defense is now gelling. And I think our defense is really going to show right here in week 8. This is the last one before we transition to the final segment. Week 8 against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we have not lost to the Dallas Cowboys in 30 years, since the 90s. Dallas Cowboys defense now, Dan Quinn's not there. They have a new offensive coordinator. They got George Pickens. They have Javonte Williams. Their defensive backfield their running back room isn't impressive. So Schottenheimer, if I'm correct, was the offensive coordinator for Russell Wilson. And so you need a play action game and a run game for that to work. So I'm curious what they're going to do with the run game. So it seems like they're going to be extremely pass heavy. That's not going to work against the Denver Broncos. You're not going to go pass heavy. And their defense, they're getting one of their guys, I think, who came back off injury. Trevon Diggs come back off injury. Deron Bland took a huge drop off. I know they lost some guys on the offensive line. I think we beat the Cowboys. And I can see us winning 31-17. So we're going, 8-1? 8-1. I think this next game I call it a loss. But that's going to be a close game as well. But you guys are going to have to come back. Let's see. When are we? Let's see. Probably Friday. Friday we'll probably do the rest of the season schedule prediction. But Wednesday we are going to do one of the topics is going to be the Bo Nix stat prediction. Hopefully by that time we would have traded. Let's see what the comments say. We got on the schedule predictions so far. All right, we're going back to the top. Jack says Mims is the scariest player on the offense. Yes, he's very underrated scary because he can do the screens and he can catch it over the top, and he's got really good hands. He's got really, really good hands, and he's fast. He runs a 4.3. He's fast. He says Broncos pickup at safety from Niners was a great move. Excellent move. One of the things that went underrated in the offseason that we knew, but the things that we did, I think, possibly against the Bills and the Ravens. So the Broncos made moves specific for teams that we played last season. As we said, Jahdae Barron was for the Bengals and the Chargers. Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw was for the Chargers. Talanoa Hufanga, that safety, was for the Bills and the Ravens. And he's healthy. And he was in the whole offseason program from beginning to end, sprinting, running, lifting, every practice. And he had an interception too. So he's been part of that full Sean Payton Bolari offseason. And I think he's going to have a healthy offseason. And only other safeties that could possibly be better at strong safety than him in the AFC will be Kyle Hamilton, and Trent McDuffie. But I think he could be second team All Pro. Denver absolutely wins week 1. I agree. Denver wins week 2 against the Colts as well. Jack says, I think the Bolts win just because they played Denver well and the Chargers aren't hurt yet. Yes, but they did drop in their pass rush. And their defensive line took a step back. So they no longer have Joey Bosa, and they lost their defensive tackle. And Denver has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL and a better run game and tight end game. So our offense is that much improved, and their defense took a step back. That's my caveat. But we also played them twice. But I hear what you're saying. Hero says, Jack, you look better in orange. We will convert him. Don't worry about that. You mind your business. We're working on that. Jack says, versus Bengals is a statement game for Denver. Shows that NFL Broncos are real. Yeah, and I said we put a beatdown on them. What did I say? 31-20? Yeah, I think we put a beatdown on them. I think this is a revenge game. And especially if you say we lose to the Chargers and we go 0-1 in the division, and that would mean, so if the Chargers beat the Chiefs week 1 and the Chargers beat the Broncos week 3, the Chargers would look like the AFC West. Look like they're going to take the AFC West. And I think we would beat the crap out of the Bengals that following week. But that just doesn't sit right in my spirit to say that the Chargers go 2-0 in the division in the first 3 weeks. And that disgusts me. And I don't want that. Let's see. Chargers and all right. See, Chargers and Raiders talking trash. Love it. Jack Kenneth says, Eagles win. They're just that good. Yes, I have them winning. 31-24. I do have them winning. Denver beats the Jets. I agree. Denver beats the Giants. I agree. Yes, we have not lost to the Cowboys since the 90s. I think that's a very underrated. Actually, that's not even a rivalry because they lose. So, Broncos can be scary good. We want all the smoke. Yes. And I think the addition of Trey Harris is very underrated, just not against the Broncos secondary. I think you guys I think the best signing of the Chargers in this offseason was not Mike Williams, Najee Harris, or any of the draft, or I think it was Mekhi Becton. Especially with the type of offense you guys run. That dude is huge when he pulls. That dude's huge. But how is he in pass pro against a good defensive line like the Broncos, where we generate the most pressure in 4-man rush and 5-man rush last year? So we'll just have to see because you guys have issues with your center and your left guard. Just can't count the Chiefs. This would be the 10th year they make the run to the playoffs. Yeah, I think we beat for whatever reason, I think we kind of beat up on the Chiefs this year, the Broncos and the Chargers. I cannot stand the Chiefs. 10 division wins in a row is ridiculous. And I'm sick of it. That's embarrassing. We have shame. My prediction is Denver 1, KC 2, Chargers or Raiders for third place. Just keeping it real. I like that. I like that. Hero says, this guy's my favorite Bronco, then Richie. Sorry, Helma, if you're seeing this. My high salute. Appreciate you, Hero. Baptize him in the orange and blue waters. Absolutely. Yes. Jack says Becton was a good signing. Yes, Mekhi Becton was a really, really, really good signing by the Chargers. That their run game. The reason why they got Najee Harris, a lot of people were saying, oh, you should have just kept JK. The reason they got Najee Harris was for reliability purposes. If he got 1,000 yards every year with the Steelers and was healthy, he's going to get 1,000 yards every year and be healthy with the Chargers. But I think Jim Harbaugh also learned you can't just run guys into the ground like that. So that's why they drafted Amari and Hampton. And he's also going to the 2-back system. But the only question with me is, can the Chargers maintain that same defense they had last year. That's the only question with them. All right, guys, really quick. The last topic of the day is there's some moves in the AFC that took place between the Dolphins and the Steelers. The Dolphins are a non-starter, but the Steelers, as I said earlier in the show, the Steelers, I think it's better for the Broncos if the Steelers are better than the Ravens. Now, on this quick scenario, if this is the scenario, if the Broncos win the AFC West, we're in the top 4. Okay, so that means we have an easier path to the playoffs. If we are in the top 4, and the Ravens win their division, the likelihood we play the Ravens in the second round is higher. Actually, I think it would be about the same, would it not? Because, I mean, you're in the top 4, you play a lesser team, you win that, then you have to play one of the top 4 teams because that's the conference championship. Or that's the divisional. You'd want the Steelers and the Ravens to beat up on each other in the playoffs. And you want the Steelers to be better than the Ravens because you want the Steelers to knock out the Ravens in the playoffs. Them doing that because we'd rather play the older Steelers than the younger Ravens in the playoffs. I think we match up better against the Steelers than we do against the Ravens. And so if the Steelers get better, hooray. So that being said, they just got Jalen Renzi, but the one I want to pay attention to is they got Jonnu Smith. And so with the addition of Jonnu Smith, that changes their tight end room and the tight ends on the depth chart. So their number 1 tight end is now Jonnu Smith. He was one of the – I'd give him top 5 tight end last year with Daniel's system. And Pat Freiermuth is tight end too. And so you have them on those sets. But that pushes Darnell Washington depth chart. And so here's what I'm thinking. Darnell Washington is on his rookie contract. He's down the depth chart, so it wouldn't be it wouldn't cost much. With him being tight end 3, maybe even tight end 4, depending on their tight end room looks out. So maybe it costs 6th. Maybe it costs a 6th. Let's say you call up the Steelers and you say, hey, we'll give you a 6 for Darnell Washington. You know, he doesn't even play. He's not going to play. He's got Jonnu Smith on his rookie contract. And so you get Darnell Washington. What does that look for our tight end room? Evan Ingram, tight end. So we got our joker. We got our receiving tight end. Adam Troutman on the last year of his contract. He knows Sean Payton's system. He can catch when he needs to. Maybe he's not necessarily the best blocker, but he can do the job. He can get the job done. But with the current tight end room the way it is right now, you can't really. You can run out of 2 tight end sets. Whoa. Sorry, guys. The stream just crashed. Sorry about that, guys. Man, that was absolutely crazy. Well, toward the end of the show crashed, unfortunately. But last segment, like I was saying, Darnell Washington is 6'7", 265, and he comes from a system where you have to know how to block. And I think that would immediately put Kroll off the maybe he can get to the practice squad, but that Kroll will be cut. So would Darnell Washington be tight end 3? Or would he be tight end 2? But I think he could be tight end 3 this year with the potential of taking Adam Troutman's spot next year. This would give him the year to sit behind Troutman, learn the system. He can block. He'd be a big red zone threat. He could be the guy. You remember Steelers called in Donald Parham, who we called in but kept him on the practice squad. That same big guy that can block and catch red zones. So I think with the potential of Darnell Washington, I think he could be a big maybe we go 3 tight end, maybe we go heavy, especially goal line as well. And I think sometimes maybe we might see a couple packages of Ingram and Darnell Washington. So I think that could really set our tight end room up for the future. So that way, if Adam Troutman goes, we only gave up a 6th or 7th round pick. Darnell Washington is still on his rookie contract, so he's not owed a contract. So I think Darnell Washington is definitely a guy that I would be on the phone for if I'm the Denver Broncos. Just go in and just beef up that run game even more, and you beef up that tight end room even more. Darnell Washington wasn't a pass catcher. He can be the Chris Manhertz tight end 3. And so I think Darnell Washington would be a good guy maybe to trade for. So that's a guy I would definitely look out for. Sorry, guys, about the stream crashing. It just crashed all of a sudden. But we appreciate you all being with me. Appreciate the Raiders fan, the Chargers fans keeping the comments going. We always appreciate the Broncos fan. Isaiah Henderson doing work. Respect to the pod. Would love to see more Broncos. Once we're in the playoff mode, it's going to be jam-packed. Wake me up when September's up. Yo, exactly. We gotta let us know what games you're going to. Maybe if any Broncos fans in the chat are going to the Chargers game, we can link up and actually network, like the Orange and Blue Network says. But guys, if you're here from MHRT, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and anywhere you listen to your podcast. And also, guys, go ahead, if you're from Orange and Blue, go over to our partners and follow them on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. And don't forget, guys, that tonight at 7 p.m. we have Broncos Bros. And you guys aren't going to want to miss that, so make sure you hit the notification bell. So, guys, make sure you guys come back Wednesday. Wednesday we are doing – what did I say we were doing Wednesday? What are we doing Wednesday? Bo Nix stat prediction for the first 8 weeks. That's going to be very interesting because now we have to think about the defenses. So Wednesday we're going to do the Bo Nix stat prediction, so you guys aren't going to want to miss that. But guys, I'm going to give you guys a mile high salute. I love you all. Make sure you guys tune in tonight for Broncos Bros, and I'll see you guys.
Do believe in Broncos, bro, when we hit that field. Orange and blue pride, it's our strength and our shield. Every win, every loss, we deal with the flow. Broncos, bro.